if you already started your entrepreneurial journey as a side hustle, and if you are wondering if it's possible or when it's possible to do it full time, join this conversation with Evelyn Lopez Delon, where she shares her journey from going to from a 9 to 5 corporate job to being full-time entrepreneur. She shares her journey from being femmepreneur and mompreneur and all the things needed and possible for her to live her dream. So join us. Let's go.
First of all, thank you so much for having me, Andrea, and it's so lovely to finally connect after a year. So I've been very excited about our chat because we're constantly watching each other and supporting each other, and I just love the friendship that we've formed in the past year. So thanks for having me and for asking me to come to your group and talk about me. So a bit of an introduction. My name is Evelyn Lopez Delon, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about what I was like before I became a mum. So I was very free-spirited. I worked really hard in my corporate career. I worked 15 years within human resources, business strategy, and also recruitment. So I, worked really hard in my corporate job, and I wanted to get promoted every 18 months. And, I was doing really, really well, which meant that it funded a really comfortable lifestyle for myself as well. So I worked hard, but I also loved to travel. So I was traveling a lot and having a really good time. Worked out to a point where I was really trying to find myself, trying to find my true desire in life. And I was always chasing whatever made me happy, which was travel at that point and being free. So I've always wanted that freedom life. And then, I met my husband and then had kids, and all of that completely changed. Like, it was something that I never thought I would ever do, go into entrepreneurship. It wasn't a lifelong dream. It was more the fact that it wasn't aligning anymore with my corporate jobs. When I had Jasmine, who's my first one, she's almost 4 years old now, but when I first had her and I went back to work, I just felt this massive shift, this massive energy shift that just didn't belong there anymore. I had to work really hard to prove myself, and knowing that I had to work really hard, but then I was a mum and had a baby at home, it just didn't fit anymore. I was working longer hours, and I just wanted to be with my baby. I wanted to just be there for her. And with Jasmine, we faced a couple of health issues in the first 2 years. She's okay now, but it was just random issues that had us going back and forth to the hospital and a lot of doctor appointments, and we were worried and stressed about her health. However, I had to also consider my my co-workers. I was leaving work to them, and then I felt kind of left out because I was always, with my daughter going to doctor appointments, and the projects that I was working on at work, I felt like I was just getting the not so fun projects because all of my other colleagues were working. So it just wasn't, I felt left out. I felt like my values just didn't align anymore. I was just going to work because I had to for the money. And then I realized it's not about the money. It's about just what makes you happy in terms of what gives you purpose. I had no purpose, no impact. So I decided to change that up. So when I was pregnant with my second, my husband and I decided that we would build a business together. So while I was on maternity leave, I spent that time in between naps and in between all the craziness of having a 2-year-old and a newborn. I decided to create a business with my husband that would give us purpose, that would give us a lot more impact. And here I am, at 20 months later, and it's thriving. So the business is doing really well. And now I am passionate about empowering other mamas to know that they can also do that too, and that they are capable and enough. And it all comes down to our purpose, what drives us and what will get us keeping, showing up. Like you like to say, you just got to always show up.
Yes, yes, and that's so amazing. And you tackle a very important thing that is the purpose, the why, and this is also very attached with the vision of success, because internet and social media is always bringing an idea of success that doesn't fit with everyone, and sometimes it brings feelings of, if you are not like that, you are not successful, you are not worthy. So what is your vision of success nowadays?
Yeah, so my vision of success is for when the girls go to school that I am able to be financially independent, so still have that freedom life of being able to travel with the girls and, live the experiences that I was living beforehand. But I feel that, even with my corporate job, even though I was earning a lot of money, it wasn't going to fund me that lifestyle because I still had to ask someone for permission. So for me, success is being able to work from anywhere in the world, the way that we want to work flexibly and around my family, so not the other way around. And by the time that the girls are at school, I want to have, and for me, it's multiple income streams. It's not just depending on the one. So it's been smart about how we can actually make different types of ways that we can make money so that we can have that freedom. For me, it's freedom life. Like that's all I want to envision, that flexibility to be able to do anything. So when the girls are at school, I want to be able to work the school hours, and once I pick them up, be present with them and just be able to say yes to their commitments. If they want to play soccer, I can take them to play soccer. I'll have the time to be there for them. And for me, success looks like my girls will have options. They will have choices, and we won't be just surviving, having to just, because I lived in that environment of just surviving. My dad had to work 3 jobs, and yeah, financial stability was there. We had a roof, we had food, and that was success to him. Just being able to put us into a school for education, but he wasn't around. He wasn't present. I didn't have that time with my dad. So for me, that's not success. The success could be different. Some people just want to be financially independent and be able to just provide for their families, and that's fine. But for me, it's both financially, like being able to provide for my family, but also being present for them and saying yes to just spending time with them. That's success for me.
Yes, and this is a beautiful vision. Yes. And many times what I feel is that we have an idea of what we want, but we don't make the plan in detail. So when we start business, we start the doing, to trying to make like others do, but something is missing, and then we try to do everything at the same time, and we feel that the time we are spending in our business, we are not spending with the kids, the time we spend with the kids, we are not spending with the business. So how was that for you in the beginning?
It was definitely difficult. I would say it was very difficult in the beginning because when I had Alyssa, who was a newborn, and trying to, juggle the naps, juggle, her sleeping. And for me, it was all about, I guess, scheduling time in when I needed to, knowing it had to become from discipline. Like it was really knowing, like, when Alyssa was going to sleep, when she was going to nap, getting them to bed it's this discipline about around the kids as well, getting them to bed at 7 o'clock on the dot so that we could then start working. But for me, what I struggled the most with was the mess, like, so dinner, like it was dinner time and would be with them. And because again, I'm all about being present with the kids, it was being like intentional with that time. We would only have dinner time with them because I'd come home from daycare, or my mother-in-law would come and help us as well, and it was just a dinner time that I wanted it to be family time, and that's something that I didn't have. And so being present, intentional with them, but then they'd go to bed and I'd come in and I'd just see the kitchen. Like, it's just like plates everywhere. I had to, clean up, and it would take me a good hour to clean up. And then it meant that I would then start work at 8 p.m. And then, I would try to work and then I'd get to 11 p.m. and I'd still be working. And that wasn't healthy, and then it was like that self-care, because I'd be working till 11 o'clock or even midnight at times. It just became this juggle of like, well, am I getting burnt out because I'm trying to do it all? So when I realized that I was getting burnt out, that I was trying to just be this super mum, like, getting everything done and then working at nights, it really came down to realizing that I can't do it all, that I couldn't just do it all. I had to sit down with Adam and say, it was the mental load, right, that I was getting overwhelmed with. And at the end of the day, I wasn't happy, I still didn't feel happy because I felt like everything just was on me. Like, that mental load was really difficult. And it created a lot of stress in my relationship with Adam, because I was resentful, because all of a sudden I started to feel resentment towards him, that he didn't have to think about it all, but yet, I was still part of the business, and yet I still had to strategize with him, and I still had to think about all these things that he also had to think about. But for me, it was extra. So Adam and I decided to sit down and look at our household like a business. So we sat down, we actually broke things down as, what do I do? What does he do? What are the things that I can let go of? What are the things that someone else can do? Maybe Adam picked things up, and we created a system. So for us, it's all about the system. We created a system in our household of what needs to then change and shift. And since then, I've gone on a massive journey of just letting go.
Mm,
Just
that,
letting go of doing it all, you don't have to
yes,
do it all.
yes. Here, I also needed to let several things go because it's me or it's me, because my
Yeah,
partner is away plenty of times, so I needed to let it go also. And
yeah,
for sure, and we women are educated to run the house, right? And many times
yeah,
we feel that if we ask for help, we are not being, I don't say women enough, but we are not showing that we are capable to do what we are meant to do, right?
exactly. Exactly. And I felt that with my first. Like, it took me to get to my second, and it took me creating a business to let go. I was always trying to be in control of Jasmine, and the energy that I had with Jasmine is completely different to how I am with Alyssa. And I think I took it so seriously because I didn't have a mum. And even when I did have a mum, like, so my mum passed away when I was 4, right? So but in El Salvador, where we lived in El Salvador, she was also a very driven person, and she had her career, and you only have 3 months of maternity leave, and then they go back to work. And in El Salvador, it's very common to have nannies and to have other people doing it for you. And so I missed out on having a a relationship with my mum even during that time. And people tell me that I used to always say that she was busy all the time. She was going to the gym, she had a social life, she had work, she was studying at the same time. So nannies were looking after me and I guess nurturing me in a way that I just thought, well, when I have kids, I want to do it all. I don't want to, and I found myself saying a lot to Adam with Jasmine, I don't want to outsource. I don't. And he goes, where does that come from? And I said, it must be like an inner child thing that I must have just felt like, well, my mum outsourced everything, and it's like, I don't want to do that. And I took it so seriously that I was over controlling over Jasmine. I wanted to be the one. And because it was during COVID as well, so I was working from home, my poor mother-in-law just wanted to be a grandma, and I'm like, no, don't do it that way. No, don't do it that way. I need to, and I was even involved in like getting her food ready, and I needed to be there when she was eating to make sure she was eating, and don't do it that. And I was constantly telling my mother-in-law, you know, and then that relationship wasn't great because she just wanted to be a grandma and, you know, do things her way as well. But it really did take purpose, right? It was another different type of purpose. It was, okay, what are our I guess when you're thinking about business, when you're thinking about this purpose or this bigger thing that's going to be a longer term thing, you think, right, what do I need to sort of give away? Like you know, the you give and take. We can't have it all. We really can't. We can't have it all. It's yeah, either, you know, you just think, well, what is important right now and what can I let go of and why should I let go of? And know that the reason why you need to let go of is because there is a bigger purpose behind it. So I had to go through a massive journey of being okay. And now my mother-in-law calls it with, you know, Alyssa, and I'm okay with that. And it's okay because Alyssa has a better relationship with her grandma, you know, and it's really nice to see them connect in a way that Jasmine and her grandma could never connect because I was too controlling. So, you know, there's also those nice things when we do let go.
Yes, and we are always learning, right? So those experiences also teach us how to do it better or do it differently. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we doing differently is better, but because each talking about the kids, each kid is different, and the
Hmm.
needs they will have are different also. So yes, it's great that you also made that permission for you. But I want to ask you, because as I know from other talks I already heard you, you who started was your husband, right? And then he convinced you, you started to help him. How was that journey?
Yeah, so Adam has been, you know, an entrepreneur since we met. And it's funny because when we met, I remember the time that I actually thought, yeah, this person is the one for me, is because he said that he was in business because he wanted to work anywhere, and his dream was to live in Barcelona and live there for 6 months. And I was like, I want that, you know, I want that. So, but both of us, that is still our vision of being able to just take the family and live anywhere. So, knowing that from the very beginning, I remind myself of the reason why we're together. And he's been in business. When I met him, he was in a business that it wasn't. It was a big one. It was like a telco company, right? And for me, he looked very successful. Like, he seemed very successful. I was like, great, you know, he's the one for me, you know. And then when you get into business, I saw the ins and out of entrepreneurship. He was working long hours. He was working, like, we travel and he'd have his laptop. And I said, I don't want that life. Like, I work 9 to 5 and I'm comfortable. So I had this bad connectation of what entrepreneurship actually is, right? And I said, I don't want that. So that's why I kept on pushing back. But when I came to that pain point of going, well, I also can't live in corporate and be this for the next 30 years. I've still got 30 years to work. Like, if I don't change things and if I stay doing the same thing, then I'm going to be here for 30 years. What's worse? So then I decided to go, okay, I need to start looking at what entrepreneurship is actually like and how we could make it work for us, because that's another thing. So there was a knowledge gap for me. I needed to be curious about what it actually meant. And so I started to learn and research about what other people were doing. And yeah, that was 7 years ago. It's a different type of world now, right? We've got social media and the opportunities that we have, and having, like, you know, different types of ways that you can earn income by just showing up online. You know, YouTube, you can make money off YouTube nowadays. So I started to learn all these different types of ways that you can make money. Sure, it's passive later on, but right now we're working really hard to get there. And so for me, it was just finding out how to do that. So Adam and I sat down. Hey, Afia, good to see you. And so it was just about sitting down and talking about what does our life look like. So we created a business based on our purpose. So we did fundamentals, 3 months worth of fundamentals. We didn't say, hey, let's build a business. We actually said, what is our lifestyle? What do we want? And then let's create that business. And what can this business then do to get different multiple income streams? Well, I can share my journey and empower other women to also do the same thing because they are capable. And so maybe I could do coaching on the other side. So there was all these other ideas that came out of this business that we've got. And so we decided to create it based on the lifestyle. So for us, it was all about us not being in the business. So we created a team. So we looked at Adam's skills and my skills. How do we combine the two? Adam is all about software and video. He knows all about it. And I'm all about team and building a team and having that project management skills where I can create a team. So we've created a team that does all the work for us. And we get and we've created an offer with different types. There's 3 different offers that we provide a client, and it's high ticketed value. So for example, it's, we charge $4,000 per video content, and it takes us, let's say 1,500 for the team to do it. So we're left with that extra money, right? And that's our business model. Our business model is creating something that we don't have to do. So we don't have to work in the business, but we can work on other things. And that's what allows me to work on my podcast, to do all these other passion projects that I love to do, because we have a team that's running. And for me, all I do is that management, project management, to make sure that we're in deliverables and we have all that sort of stuff. And then on the side, I can actually connect with beautiful mamas like you and talk about the journey and talk about, and this is what I love to do, and we went to Sydney a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and for me that was success. The fact that we had 4 days, and Adam, I said, I do not want to see that laptop, get the team to know what they're doing and all that sort of stuff. And he took the laptop once. He just worked on it one night just to make sure that everything was running, but he was present with the family. We were both present with the family. We took them out for the day, and I said, that's success. I didn't want to do what he used to do when he used to take the laptop traveling. That's not success for me. So that's what we've created.
Yes, that's so amazing, and it's what we want when we go to entrepreneurship, right? The freedom. Uh, in entrepreneurship, I believe freedom has become a buzzword, but it's actually what we want. And I have a coach that says there are 5 types of freedom, but I believe there's a 6th one. That's the one I I preach for, to the freedom to be yourself, and
Yes.
it's very aligned with what you do also, right? The freedom to
Yes.
share your journey and show that it's not all perfect, and it is what it is, because nowadays it's changing a little bit, but it comes very much out there, the perfect image, the all it's great, everything it's great, and then we start to compare because everything is nailing it, but others don't, right? And
Yeah.
it brings plenty of that comparison, and it's something I love about your journey, is that you share, you started to share all the steps, in a way to speak, um, so you can inspire other mamas, and not all mamas, but your main ideal people are mamas. But I believe
Exactly.
you are inspiring other people also. But tell me, how or what do you think is needed to start envision the shift? You didn't make the shift today. You are on corporate. The other day you are full time on business, right? It went through a process. What was the planning for it?
I think the transition comes from, I personally think sometimes it's some sort of pain that people, like when you experience some sort of like feeling of like pain, like there is that pain that you're feeling, that like what you're doing right now is no longer working for you. It doesn't feel right. That for me was it, you know. If I didn't have feel that pain, and I remember feeling like when I was going into hospital and Jasmine was just constantly always sick, there was one thing after another. I kept on asking myself, why is this happening? Like, you know, you kind of think to yourself, what is this? And I knew there was something in me. And I'm like, something's telling me that this is happening for a reason, and I just need to find out what that is. What's this reason? What am I, you know? So I think it's tuning into your surroundings, just being a bit present with, you know, what is going on for you right now to make that change or to make that transition, and will it be worth it? So that's what I did for the first 3 months when I was transitioning between knowing that I couldn't do this anymore for 30 years, but then being scared of this new thing because it's scary. It's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to jump from one thing that you've always worked so hard for. And for me, it was an identity shift. I felt like I was just going through this identity shift that needed to happen. It was like I no longer feel like this is working for me because I've changed. And you have to accept that we change and we grow, and it's uncomfortable to get to that next level, but it's either I get uncomfortable or I live for the next 30 years unhappy, you know, and then that's going to reflect on my kids, because if I'm unhappy, and it is, you know how they say happy wife, happy life, have you heard of that saying?
Yes, yes.
And it's true. It is. Like the family stems from the mum, and not to put pressure on ourselves in that way, but if you are happy doing what you feel like is right for you, then I think it sort of trickles down to the kids, right? Because I find that when you're unhappy, the energy's there. So it is about like being happy, and again, it's not about putting the pressure on us, because that's the last thing that we need, putting the pressure on us. But if for anything, do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Feel happy because we deserve it. We deserve to be happy. And you know, our kids deserve to see a happy mum. You know, that is going to be, you know, every day waking up. And yes, it's hard. Like this is really, really hard. But when you make that shift, and when you're going through and pulling and getting yourself to that next level, you feel good. You feel good because it's like every step that you do and make, you're like, I am capable because I'm getting to that next step. But entrepreneurship, and what I'm finding is that there's always that next step. So, for example, I've just launched an online course. The whole journey of creating this online course was a journey in itself for me. And I was getting uncomfortable. I cried a few times because I was like, I don't want to do it, but I have to. I know I have to. If I want this thing to get out there and I want to help others, I've got to do it. And then when I did it, it was a sense of achievement of going, I pushed myself so I can do that. And then the next thing is, you know, well, I'm going to start doing this online course and I'm going to get it out to the world. And then the next thing is the sales part. Like I have to get this course out there. How do I do that? Come up with ideas. And it's always that next thing. But it feels good just knowing that you're getting out there. But I think one important thing is always upskilling yourself. So upskilling, always learning, always seeing what is it, where are you at this point in time, and how can you get to that next level. It's always about learning from others, and that's why I love the podcast and I love connecting with others, because I'll learn, even if it's just that thing that, you know, Andrea, you taught me this, you know, how to create lives and all that sort of stuff. You know, you leverage of other people, you connect with other people, and you start to learn, and the more you connect with other people, the more you're learning.
Yes, for sure, for sure. I'm a big believer of that also. Yes, and you talked about something I wrote here, so I would not forget. about the identity shift. You felt that identity shift because many of us, and not only women but men also, we attach very much what we do or with what we are, and we are so much more than only what we do, right? And I see many women uh, reaching the 40s and starting to have identity crisis because they no longer feel attached, aligned with the life they are living. And it impacts also on how they show up for their business. And you realizing that helped you to make that realization that something needed to shift. And many times we know something is off, but we don't spend time to analyze that. And we keep on the mouse wheel, right? And keep doing what we were doing all the time and avoid change because change
Yeah.
isn't comfortable. Yes, it is, but for us to grow, we need to make uncomfortable things, and we
Yeah.
don't need to make a shift from night to day or from
Mm.
black to white, like we see in Portugal. We can enlarge our comfort zone, like I always say. We can make step by step changes because many people think that changes need to be big, so and
Mm.
success needs to be big. So many times we forget that the small steps compound to reach that big stuff, but the small steps have big power, and you are sharing that, and that's really amazing. So you were talking about the course. What is the course about?
Look, yes, thanks for asking. So the course is about my strategies that, so for me, it's the fundamentals of what I did to get to the point where we are now. And it's the mindset. So there is a lot because of the uncomfortable. And like you said, it's not from one day to another. It's a journey. And the mindset stuff that this online course has, there's two modules. One module is about really finding your true purpose. So what will get you out of bed? And I think purpose is a big one because for me, that's how it started, right? I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I found my purpose, my end goal, like one that comes from the heart. But to get there, you have to ask yourself deep questions. You have to go through a process. It's not easy because, I mean, your purpose could be, I want freedom. But is that really going to get you up in the morning, 5 in the morning? No, it comes from finding it out within. And so there is a process that you have to go through. So in this online module, I go through that process, asking you deep questions. There's activities, there's a workbook that you create, and gets really deep into your true self. And something that I've done throughout my years, I've done counseling, I've gone to psychologists, I've done a lot of work of inner childhood stuff that I faced. And so there's a little bit of that in there as well. So it's just that experience about really finding your true purpose. And then which will also help you with building out your personal brand, because you need to understand your purpose and your personal brand to then connect authentically with who your target audience will be, because people will love the connection. People love to know what's really deep down inside. So it's that. Then the second module is around so really looking into your limiting self-beliefs. So we all have them. We all have this fear. And there's all these exercises that you can do to change the script. So it's about changing your script before you even get to that business side. It's more about, what are you saying to yourself? What are the things that because if you're saying to yourself, I am not an entrepreneur, then you're not going to be one, like you change it before you get there. And so I did that. I created all of these different things that I needed to do to get over myself, if that make sense, to get over the fear of starting something. Even the podcast journey was a really difficult one for me. It's like, who's going to want to hear me? Who's going to want to hear about my journey? Maybe I'll do it later when I'm successful. But then it's like, no, wait a minute. It is all about the journey, and it is all about, like, people probably do want to hear it. Imagine if I had stayed there, like, then I wouldn't be here right now. So, I had to work on all of that. So all of these strategies are the things that I used to get over myself, to get to that next level. So that module also has a meditation. So I do meditation as well. I do a 19-minute meditation, and that's part of the module as well. So all of these exercises that you do is about getting you to that next level. And then the last two modules are all about business and marketing foundations. So thinking about creating the questions. Again, it's the questions. What would your business look like? Make sure it aligns with your purpose. So it all comes together. It's like almost like a 360 of getting to a point where you have a plan, or you have your next step. And again, I know business plans are something that, not many people want to do, and, just getting past that, but it's just having the foundations of knowing, okay, what do I need to do next? What's my next step? And then my next step. And within that, you have modules that have like templates, social media planning template. You've got a 30, 60, 90-day template. How do you create SMART goals? So it's the foundations to get you started, or to get you to that next level of your business.
Yes, that's amazing. And I love that you started with mindset. I normally also start with mindset because it's all here, and the outside is a reflection of the inside. So it's very important to start working with the inside. I love that. I love that. So
Yeah.
let me know, or let us know, what are three things you you feel it's necessary, or three advices you have for the ones who are still in corporate and are trying to understand how to shift to the entrepreneurship journey.
Well, first of all, I've got a masterclass that will give you, and it's free. It's a free masterclass that will give you a bit of a taste of what it's like, a mini course of the online course. And I'll give you the link for that. So that free masterclass is a little bit of a getting your feel for the purpose. And I think the first step is really finding out and being clear. It's clarity. You just got to be clear about what it is that why you're going to make that shift. Why is it so important to you? And also think about, well, if you don't do it, what does that mean for you? So if you weren't to make a change, what can you envision yourself in the next 30 years? Will you be happy? Ask yourself those questions, because then you'll realize that you will have an answer to that and go, well, maybe I do need to change. And then so the next step is, all right, be clear about what it is and how you're going to do it. Be close to your numbers. So understand what it would take for you to replace your income, and how long of that would that be? Would you need to start a side hustle, right? And maybe do it for 12 months. I did it for 10 months, I think. I went from maternity leave. I did a side hustle for 10 months to make sure that I had the funds coming in. And with that funds, invest back in yourself. You have to keep learning. You have to invest in yourself. That's one thing that I think with Adam, and when we were getting Adam to sort of work on businesses, we never invested in it. It was like, yeah, great, you do that, you make it work. But again, he was working 12 hours. So invest in yourself, whether it be coaching, whether it be, someone that has, a course that you can do. We've done heaps of courses. And so for me, it's just that constant learning and upskilling yourself when there's going to be a knowledge gap, because there is, like, you can't know everything. There's going to be knowledge gaps. Identify what those knowledge gaps are, and find something that will get you to that next level, So just be wary of that. And then the third thing, I think, is just knowing when to pivot, knowing when you need to make that change, and connect yourself with like-minded people that will get you to that next level as well. I think community and support is a big one through this journey. And know
Mm.
and know when to let go as well. Know when you need to give that to someone else, outsource something else so that you can focus on building this life of yours.
Yes, they are four amazing points to cover. I love it when you talked about having an understanding of the people the person you want to be. Because the other day I heard someone telling that you may not know your purpose, so until you find your purpose, make you yourself the purpose, and you will find the path along the way. And
I
that's
love
so
that.
inspiring. Yes, because many people think that they need to have everything figured out, and this brings so overwhelmed and frustration also. So start to improve yourself, start to invest in yourself, like you just told, because it's so. I'm a big believer of that also, and um, there's not a day that I cannot say less than that. Invest in yourself. It's the best thing you can do for you and for others,
Absolutely.
because the more you invest on yourself, the more you can help others also. So
Yeah.
yes, you
Yeah.
already talked how we can work with you, right? So how can we find and connect with you?
I am mostly on Instagram. So I do have an Instagram account. It's called legacy underscore building underscore mamas. I also have a Facebook group community, and that's where you'll find me on Facebook at Legacy Building Mamas Community. And how else can you connect? And I've got a podcast as well. So if you wanted to know more about my journey, the podcast is on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast, and it's Legacy Building Mamas.
Yes, I will
And
edit and update the description of the live with all those links, and
thank you.
a little bit about you also for everyone who wants to connect with you. You are watching on replay. Give yourself permission to ask any questions if you have, and connect with Evelyn. Thank you so much for being here again,
Thank
Evelyn.
you.
It was such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for allowing the time and the space for me to talk about my journey. Thanks for watching us today, and I'm looking forward to connecting with everyone.